So, what scares you most? And if you say nothing, we know you're lying. There is something, probably multiple things that scare you. Happy Motivational Monday. My name is Bill DeWeese, and I'm so glad you're here today. I'm a professional voiceover talent and voiceover coach, and every weekday morning we get together for a few minutes to talk voiceover, a little huddle, our voiceover morning huddle. And on Mondays, it's traditionally Motivational Monday. I want to share with you a thought or a concept, something that you can sink your teeth into, something that you can carry with you today to help you build your voiceover career. And I hope that you're learning that building your voiceover career is less about the voiceover side of things and more about the you side of things. The things that keep us from being successful, pretty much in any area of our life, has less to do with the specific skill of that thing and more to do with us, with our mindset, with our attitude, the way we approach it. Because once we get all this right, everything else falls into place. So the things that we think are the huge hurdles and the big walls that stand between us and success typically aren't it. The big wall is in here. Once we get over that, everything else just kind of crumbles in front of us. And I want to share with you to get us started this morning a quote from, for those of you who live outside of the U.S., may not be aware, a former United States First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, who once said, "Do one thing every day that scares you." Do one thing every day that scares you. So my question for you is, what scares you most about voiceover? What is it that's kept you from pulling the trigger? Because I know, while a number of you, a lot of you who are on the morning live stream, I know you pulled the trigger because I see you in my training program. I see your progress. I see your posts to the group. I know what you're doing and I know what you're up to. But I also know there's a lot of you who are still thinking about it, who are mulling it over, who are trying to dip your toe in the water without getting hurt, trying to save maybe your pride or save what little self-esteem you can hold on to because you're afraid that if you are rejected, if you don't succeed, then you will disappear. Well, I'm here to just remind you of what you already know, that that's not true. So let's go back to our quote. Do one thing every day that scares you. What scares you? I remember it so clearly. When I was 18 years old, I remember coming to a realization that to do the kind of things that I wanted to do in my life and understand that I was a pretty shy kid. I was an introvert, but I had some very strong motivation and desire to do things. I wanted to work in radio. That was a dream of mine. I wanted to be a musician, a performing musician. There were the things that I wanted to do were going to require me to do things that terrified me. That absolutely, and if you had known me back then, you would have a better understanding. And by the way, these are still things I have to deal with to a much lesser degree. But at that time, those things could be paralyzing at times. But I remember understanding, and I don't even remember why or how this came about, but I consciously became aware that to do the things I wanted to do, I was going to have to become a different person because the way I had conducted my life, the things that I had done up to that point, were going to continue to take me down a path of comfort and of doing kind of repeating that same cycle over and over, which is okay, but it would not have not put me on the track to where I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. And I understood that it was going to take me stepping out of my comfort zone and scaring the crap out of me, essentially, doing the things that I was terrified to do. So beginning at age 18, I began to systematically do those things. I began to, if somebody, I remember, the performing in my first coffee house around that time. And I was terrified. But it kicked off a long string where I played for, several decades in front of thousands of people. I went into, broadcasting. I was terrified, terrified. And I had a very successful career as a morning personality, as a program director. I remember standing on stages in front of tens of thousands of people, emceeing events and shows and concerts, meeting people I never thought I'd have the chance to meet, just it was living my dream, but it was because I made the decision to do the things that absolutely terrified me. And by the way, even after you do it once or twice or three times, exposing yourself to those things, it can still be terrifying. But once you do it, once you step forward, you gain courage. and it makes it easier to do it the next time, which makes it easier to do the next time. So just keep in mind that, the person you are now has brought you to where you are, but to where you want the person you need to be to where you want to go is going to require you to step through some pretty scary doors. But they are paper lions. They won't devour you. You won't disappear. You won't be massacred as a result. You'll step through them terrified, only to find out that it was much better than you ever realized. The life that you want to live is even better and more exciting than you realized it would be. But it begins with doing something today that absolutely terrifies you. So I bring it back to my question. What is it that terrifies you? Is it auditioning? Being afraid that you'll be rejected? Is it afraid you'll have rejection by your peers, that they won't like what you do? And by the way, those are the wrong people to be concerned about. Don't care what other voiceover talent think. That's not what matters. Ultimately, to be successful in business, you have to be concerned about what your customers think, not about what your peers think, because they're all stumbling around in the dark too. So sometimes I think we give way too much power and credibility to people who know as little or less than you may know about what you're concerned about. But decide today the thing that scares you the most. What is it that's keeping you from pulling the trigger? Why is it you keep coming back to the morning live stream? Because I tell you why. It's because you want to do this. You want to be successful in voiceover. That's why you're here. But what is it that's keeping you from stepping forward, beginning that journey? That's what you have to wrestle with. That's what you have to determine. And then you and only you, without anybody else holding your hand or walking you through it, you've got to walk through that door. You have to do it. I'm not saying you don't need help. Obviously, we all need help. But my point is, nobody can take that step for you. You've got to do it. And when you do that, you'll find there are a lot of people who are there to support you and help you along the way. So your motivational thought today comes from former First Lady of the United States, Eleanor Roosevelt. Do one thing today that scares you. Pick the scariest thing and do it anyhow. You'll be amazing. The power that you'll get, the motivation you'll get, the excitement that you'll get from doing that, which will spur you on to do more great things.